Hey guys, Max here with another video. This week I want to talk about how to play the 12-bar blues on banjo. It's such a common musical format that you don't see typically being played on banjo, and by learning it you can learn some cool new music theory ideas, some cool new licks, and it's honestly just a lot of fun to play. How do we play the 12-bar blues on banjo? Well, first thing, we only use one chord quality, and that is the dominant 7 chord. A dominant 7 chord is just a major triad, the first, third, and fifth notes of a major scale with the flat 7th added at the end. Something confusing about the dominant 7 notation is that it's just called 7 chord. So for instance, G7, C7, D7, that implies a dominant 7 chord. So if I look at these chord formulas here, for G7 I have G, B, D, that major triad, and the 7th note of the G major scale is F sharp, so if I flatten it, I will add in F at the end. C7, the 7th note of the C major scale is B, so if I add in B flat on top of that major triad, I get a C dominant 7 chord. And then D7, I have that D, F sharp, A, major, D triad, and C sharp is that 7th note of D major, so if I flatten it to C, I will get that D7. Easiest way to understand it, I just have my open G chord, the center of the banjo universe. Now along the bottom string I have F sharp on the 4th fret. So if I just flatten that to the 3rd fret on F and I just play that open chord with just that one note added, I get my G dominant 7 chord. So that's a really easy way to understand it, and I can adapt it to other chords as well. So I will just move my open G all the way up to a 5th fret bar, add in that 8th fret, 3 frets up, I get C7. And then the same thing, I'll move it up to D and get D7. So it's a really easy way to learn these 7 chords. You might already know D7 from before, or a variation on C7, so feel free to use those if you know them as well. And now we'll take a look at the 12-bar blues progression. You've already heard it 1,000 times. It's ingrained in all of our DNA. And this is a diagram of that format. And every one of these chords is going to be a dominant chord, and every box is the equivalent of a measure or 4 beats. So I have 4 measures of the 1 chord, 2 measures of the 4 chord, 2 measures of the 1 chord, and then I go 5 chord, 4 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord. There are some variations on this, don't get me wrong, but this is what I feel like is the most quintessential example of the 12-bar blues. If I adapt that to the key of G, the center of the banjo universe, I get 4 measures of G7, then 2 measures of C7, 2 measures of G7, and then D7, C7, G7, D7. You can adapt this to any key. So if, for instance, I wanted the key of C, I would have C7 as my 1 chord, then I would have F7 as my 4 chord, and G7 as my 5 chord. If I wanted the key of E, like a lot of guitars play in, it would be E as my 1 chord, A is my 4 chord, and B is my 5 chord, but it would still follow this same format. Now let's talk about how to pick through these chords. So any basic roll pattern that you know will work on these dominant chords that I just showed you, you just have to play them with a swing feel. So what is a swing feel? Well, you might have seen this diagram before, and all this means is that instead of straight 8th notes where each note is even and has the same amount of value, I have a quarter note triplet followed by an 8th note triplet. Now what does that mean? It just means that first note is a little longer and that second note is shorter. So instead of counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, I will go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I almost think of it like you're catching yourself before you fall for this swing feel, and some of you just have an intuition for how to play it. So if I just took a basic alternating thumb roll and played it with a swing feel, it would sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If I try to forward backward roll, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? So it's a really nice feel. It kind of feels like you're just like rocking in a hammock, right? And lastly, we'll talk about the turnarounds. Now this is the musical cue to start back at the beginning of the progression, and it's the last measure or 2 measures of the blues progression. And these are just licks and phrases that are just so deeply embedded into the blues vernacular that you don't know who first played it, but everyone knows these turnarounds, and it leads your ear back to the beginning. What's the easiest turnaround in the world? Well, if I have example 1, I will play just this random roll pattern that I made on G7. And I just walk up chromatically to the note D. Okay, so you probably already heard that before. I can add a little twist on that by just going and adding in that rest of that D7 chord, and that's an example 2. Now if I look at example 3, this will occupy the last 2 measures of the blues progression, and I will chromatically walk down to D before walking back up. Okay, and then lastly I have my absolute favorite turnaround. Okay, so again, those are just phrases that have been in the blues vocabulary for a long time. Now let's put it all together. So I'm going to play only dominant chords. I'm going to play that 12-bar blues progression. I'm going to play with a swing feel, and then I will add a turnaround at the very end. So I'll just use an alternating thumb roll with a forward-backward roll. I'll play through just the G7, C7, D7 that we learned, and I'll use that example for turnaround. Okay, so super fun to play, very satisfying, and that's just using one set of dominant chords and one turnaround. There's so many more options you can have, and there's also other keys you can transpose it into. I've written an entire ebook called Bluesing Banjo, so if this is something that interests you, go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.